What's up, YouTube, man? The homie Big D back in the building, man, with another episode, baby. Hey, man, before I start, man, like, comment, if you feel the need to, man, and you want to, you know what I mean, share, subscribe, all that, man, that I need, man. I need to build the algorithm of this channel, man. Hey, the last story I did, man, I did not like that story, so I felt like I need to come back with something else. I'm gonna have to do a better job. I be tired, so sometimes I be all over the place. I be having like a million thoughts that ain't, I'm telling you, I'm not even focused on the story that I'm telling because I'm thinking about other things outside of my life. I'm gonna start trying to goddamn draw all that in, get into my zen, where I can come and tell y'all these stories, and hopefully I can reach and touch somebody and get them to make better choices and decisions, man, not to go to prison, man. I'm not just going to be doing prison stories. I'm also going to talk about street politics, street culture, and other things of that sort. And so right now, because of that, it seems like it's been the goddamn thing that people have been tuning into. I've been stuck on these prison stories. But honestly, man, I'm getting tired of talking about prison just in general. So I'm finna start doing other things, whether you chime in or not, start talking about my own personal trauma, right along with the things that led to those trauma. So let's get to it though, man. But this is a story though. This is a prison story, man. You will be able to tell by the title. You know what I mean? If you see that Alto State Prison Chronicles or one of these other prisons I've been to, that's what's up. So before I start this story, man, I'm gonna give it to you like this. It seemed to be the common belief that it's okay. Like, okay, no, let me calm down. Let me get it to you like that. You know how in the streets that we seem to believe that any transgression that comes our way is wrong, and any transgression that we do to other is right. The blurred lenses, looking at life through clouded lenses. You seeing things one way instead of trying to seeing it in two different perspectives. It's like, especially in the streets or in prison even, it seems like, okay, what they be saying ops, you know what I mean, the other side. But you know, you see them as the enemy, but they see you the same way. So y'all attacking each other and both feeling like they right, when in truth, both of y'all are wrong. Because y'all cannot come to some type of understanding in the middle ground. And the only way that you can be right in any situation is to remove yourself from being the one, being the aggressor. That's the only way you can do it. Somebody gonna have to take a step back. This is one of those stories when me and my homeboy had to come to a goddamn sit down and talk about something. But as usual, you know what I mean, in prison, things always goddamn come full circle from angles that you don't see it. So I had this little homeboy, I'm gonna call him Richie Rich. He had came across the yard. I ain't even gonna say my little homeboy. He came across the yard in the dormitory with me, and I got another homeboy that I actually knew from the streets, but we didn't hang around each other, but we knew each other from the streets. You know what I mean? I'm gonna call him QT. Me and QT had built the bond together because me and him hit about the same time in prison. So we built the bond, familiar with each other from the street, in prison. We ended up being real, real tight. Now him and Crash Out Shouter was more tighter than we was. Per se. Just saying. They was. You know what I mean? They were kicking around each other all the time. QT was a thief. Not a fighter. He was a thief. He gonna put his hand on people's stuff that don't belong to him. That's what he did. And what he would do it, tell Crash Out Shouter. Crash Out Shouter would take up the problem, bring it to me, in turn makes me end up in the middle of whatever they got going on. I'm just giving y'all that backdrop, even though it has something to do with the message in this story, but it don't have to do with the story per se. Let's go back to my homeboy, right? Richie Rich. Richie Rich, a light-skinned dude, good hair, probably about 6 foot, 6'1", heavy set guy. Um, he really wasn't from the south side of Atlanta. He was actually from out of state. I want to say New Orleans somewhere, but he ended up in foster care, got adopted by some people, and moved to Atlanta probably when he was probably about 10 years old. So he didn't basically grow up in Atlanta. Right along with the fact that we had been down at that point in time 7, 8 years, 6 years. You know what I mean? So we don't know nothing about him. We never met him, none of that. He was in on a body, and he had about, I think he said he had like 20 years, 18 years, something like that. He was cool. He was all right, dude. You know what I mean? And when I can't say I wasn't feeling him because he wasn't no issue. Well, he had somebody had stole his shoes or something out his locker. I'm not for sure, but I'm positive. Either out of the locker, up on the bed, but his shoe got stolen. Let's just say that. He's actually ran and seen the shoes in this little Vietnamese boy locker. So he say these his shoes, and I guess he know his shoes. If he said in his shoes, his shoes. So he goes in there, he beats the little Vietnamese boy up. He's squirreling, you know what I mean? If you ain't familiar with the channel, squirrel mean he snicking. He snucking, you know what I mean? He stole it. But he squirreling, beat the little Vietnamese boy up. I didn't see the fight, but this is the word going on around the dormitory. Comes back to me, tell man, your little homeboy went down there and beat the little Vietnamese boy up. Now, what Richard Rich don't know is the little Vietnamese boy is paying for protection. And the dude that he's paying protection from, he from Augusta. I knew it was coming back. It was going to be an issue because Buddy ain't going to go for it. Now, me and the dude from Augusta, we cool. I don't have no issue with him. We don't have no problem. You know what I mean? We'll do a little business with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatnot. So I don't have no issue with him. Like, you know what I mean? We cool. But like I said, I know it's coming back. Richie Rich, he getting in the shower. I see him getting stuff finna get in the shower. And there's only one shower to 16-man room. So he goes, so sometime when the room shower is being used there and you trying to get in the shower and you see the other room shower open, you go and ask people in the room, anybody can get in the shower? And they say no, you just jump in that shower. That's what we would do. So the shower that he was going to get in is right across from us. The reason why I'm telling you all this is significant. My homeboy, QT and Crash Out Shout come down there. Of course, they explaining to me and saying that Richie Rich, he don't straighten his business with the Vietnamese boy. I said, yeah, so I heard, you know what I mean? That's what everybody been telling me. He like, man, you know. And I'm like, you know what? What I need to know? He like, man, Shout paying for protection. I said, for sure. He like, man, listen, you know how they gonna go. I said, well, it don't seem like he too concerned with it. I said, but why is y'all telling me to him? I said, man, we ain't, that's all I know. And this is what QT said, man, you know them my little homeboy, man. We know some of the same people from the street. So, what they got to do with me? What you telling me this for? You know what I mean? He said, what I'm saying, though, he went straight in the business and all that. You know what I mean? I don't feel like it'd be right to just leave him out there in the water by himself. I said, man, if you can't swim, ain't bound to drizzle out. They ain't got nothing to do with me. I ain't with none of it. I'm just letting you know. So I guess they couldn't convince me that I need to be on the front line with them for what gonna come back. Because it's coming. They walk out. I don't know where they're going. Don't care. So when they walk out, it's probably about 2-3 minutes later. You know what I mean? The Richie Rich is in the shower, washing the clothes. Now, hold up. Before I get to the part of what happened to him, you can tell that he was new. Because anybody, I ain't going to say new, because I knew that, man. Like, if I get to fight with somebody, or I get into it and I squirrel somebody like he did, I need to find out before I put myself in that vulnerable situation that how far this going to go. You see what I'm saying? So, at the point when he squirreled him, what he should have did was squirrel him and kept beating him and beating him until the police got involved. You know what I mean? Buddy can't be in there no more. One of the two. But he didn't do that by him being new. And now he's just doing what the prison politics dictate for him to do. Pick somebody. You know what I mean? And he's seen his stuff, so he handling it Bennett the way that he felt like he needed to handle it Bennett. But to get in the shower, it would seem like your street instinct would kick in. And me, the life I was living, if I know I done did something to somebody, that I'm not going to put myself in a vulnerable situation on the street, and more definitely not in the penitentiary, because I know it might come back, and I need to make sure before it come back, you know what I mean, that all my goddamn T's been crossed and all my I's been dotted. But he didn't do that. He jumps in the shower, so he's sitting in there doop, and then in the shower when I see the Vietnamese boy and his protector from Augusta, the guy was from Augusta. Now, he wasn't on no bandit stuff, you know what I mean? He was just getting money for the Vietnamese boy. So, basically, you know what I mean? The Vietnamese boy got money. He busted down. That's what the Vietnamese boy always did. And the boy from Augusta, he was a pretty nice dude. He was a big dude. He was he was fit. He was cut up. You know what I mean? Me and him used to work out together every now and then. But, yeah, they go in the, they bust off in there, and the dude from Augusta, he got like the bottom of a push broom. They got like the wooden bottom. He got the bottom of the wood push broom. And he go and tap Richard Rick crossed the skull with that goddamn thing. Bam! And they jumped on him. Him and the Vietnamese boy, they beating him too. So I'm sitting there watching the whole thing, seeing them get beat up and everything. And dudes keep looking at me and looking back at the situation like I'm finna go in there and intervene. But I'm not finna intervene. It is what it is. So when they come out the room and they look at me and I look at them, you know what I mean? But for AUG, like, man, what's up, David Straight? I ain't got nothing to do with me. He walks on down the hallway, him and Buddy. Now hold up. I know what y'all probably thinking, like, come on, D, man. And many of these stories that you don't told that you don't have to go get people's stuff back, and when people took advantage of them and all that, though. But in this other situation, you just allowed it to play out. There's a reason why. It's always a reason why. and maybe you won't see it from my perspective. So the main reason why I didn't do that, I always got to remind y'all that my main mission, main objective was to survive and get out of prison. There's levels to this, man. Predators and people of certain people don't run with they city, meaning like you don't have to worry about dealing with going to war about certain situations. But I'm gonna explain it, y'all. Y'all hear that story. So, of course, you know me, Crash Out Shaw, the QT here about the situation. At this point, they come down there, they help. These guys don't help goddamn Richard Rich up, pulled him out the shower and put him in the bed. He slept on the top bunk. They put him up there. He still had the boxer shorts on. He was wet and everything. He just laid out. He laid out up there. That's how he would lay, in the bed. But when they come down, they look, QT come through the door. So, but no, man, we ain't letting that go at all. He's talking to Crash Out shouting while they looking at me. I already know where it's going. I know what the mindset is. I know what they thinking. Like, yeah, we're going to come in here and put together this whole elaborate story. You know what I mean? We're going to go down here and handle business. Now, here's the thing. QT ain't for the bust of grapes standing on top of it. I know that for a fact. Crash Out Shouted will. But at the same time, Crash Out Shouted know this can go left. Because like I said, Buddy wasn't from Augusta. It was guys in there from Augusta. And I'm going to explain to you about how Augusta works. And, you know, if you are from Augusta and you was in prison and y'all can confirm what I'm saying. From my lens is how I've seen it, how I perceived it. This is how I seen it. So, they come in there, of course. The woofy, the yada, and the barking. All that. Trying to get me to interjecting. But I'm just not caring. You know what I mean? I'm sitting on my bed reading the book when I heard them when they came in and telling me everything, talking amongst each other. And they're like, hey, man, D, man, what's up, man? What we gonna do? What we gonna do about what? Man, you don't jump on the little homie. Ain't my homeboy. QT, man, come on, man. That's the homeboy, man. I know the man. I know some. We know some of the same people from the street. Ain't my homeboy, man. Ain't no homeboys in this shit. And I go back to reading my book. Say, crash out shot. Come on, D, man. How you gonna do that, man? How you gonna just let that goddamn play out like that? That man just went down there straight in the business with the little Vietnamese boy, and you know, goddamn, the Vietnamese boy ain't doing no paying for protection. I said, get out of that. I understand exactly what you're saying. I said, but check this out. I'm gonna show y'all something. I stand up. I go down and hit the bed. Hey, bro, get up, man. Put your boots on, man. I'm going down here straight in the business. He like, what? What business? What happened, man? I can't remember nothing. What happened? Now he got amnesia. I knew he wasn't gonna do nothing. This man is scared shitless. He finna get up out this bed. I'm not finna fight for him. You know what I mean? I like, man, this man got amnesia, man. This man ain't finna fight, man. The whole room bust out laughing. Cause that's why I said, this man got amnesia. You up here making all this noise and fuss about the dude who got amnesia. This man ain't finna fight for himself. You know what I mean? He did what he felt like the prison politics dictated him to do. Crash out, shout like, man, what I'm saying, bro. Like, you be taking up for other people and stuff like that. I said, man, I ain't standing up. Man, what y'all talking about, man? Y'all get out my face, man. I ain't going down there, bro. Y'all want to go down there and handle that business? Go down there and handle that business. I'm not finna go to war with no Augusta about this dude, man. I'm not. You know what I mean? Y'all keep forgetting what the mission is. To get out of here, man. To make it out the same way we came in. See, here's the thing is about Augusta. When I said it, is Augusta was one of those towns, them cities that they didn't always be around each other hanging in crews or cliques like that. They would, you can see them integrate and kicking it with everybody. You might see 2, 3 Augusta dudes kicking around a whole bunch of dudes from Decatur all the time. You might see 2, 3 Augusta dudes kicking around from dudes from Athens, Atlanta. You get where I'm going. But you best believe me and you, if it goes left, they're going to come together like Voltron. They will connect together like Voltron. And you won't see it coming. You know what I mean? Because you might have been kicking with this dude all day, every day. And y'all might be cool, but hey, man, when the size divides, man, you know what I'm saying? He know who with who don't like who, all that. So they are integrated like that. So I'm not going to do this with these people, man. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot more of them than you would think. You know what I mean? I've been dudes around Augusta, from Augusta, that I had forgot they were from Augusta. I thought they were somewhere else, but they were actually from AUG. But I wasn't about to go to war by buddy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? With that, I said, no, I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? I got to make it out of here alive, man. I'm not going to do that. So QT and Crash Out Shaw leave out the room. They leave. 10, 15 minutes later, they come back. Now I guess they done went down there and talked about it. And then this is what they're going to try to use to attack me on. They come back, they say, that's bad business, thing. I said, why you say that? So, man, come on, man. Every time we turn around, man, you always trying to take up for somebody, man. Trying to do this and then the third, man. When these suckers in here got done, get their stuff took, you going down there, hollering at them boys down there, they're getting their stuff back and all that stuff like that. I said, first off, let's start right here. I go by myself. I don't tell nobody to go down there with me. I don't run for help. They got quiet. I don't. You know what I mean? I said, secondly I said, check this out. I said, QT, you steal. He like, yeah, like, man. I said, no, for real, you steal. That's what you do. You're a thief. You go in people locking and take what you want. And when you take what you want, and the folk finna get on your top, you go to Crash Out Shouting, in turn, pulls me into it, and I end up having to help y'all deal with a situation that you created from your habit of stealing. But in the same turn, when it comes back and somebody does it to your little homeboy, now you feel like that those people are wrong. right? He get quiet. No, man, it's no difference in it. You put your hands on people stuff, people belong to people. I said, crash y'all shout. How many times you don't sent TM on missions to go take something from somebody? It's the same thing, bro. It's the same thing. Y'all feel like just because y'all doing it to somebody else, it's okay. But when it comes back, then it's a problem. See, here's the issue I have with that is, if you right, be right all the time, right? Don't pick and choose when you want to be right. And you're looking through it through one side of the lens. You are not even looking from the other people lenses. I said, yeah, but it ain't wrong for going straighten his business. But you got to also understand that those guys down now and them shoes that he was straightening his business about, they didn't steal them. They just ended up with them. Now, is it right for them to be buying stolen goods? No. But in the same sense, he didn't even try to find out. He just did what the politics dictated him to do. Now, what came back to him might seem like it was wrong, but they did back to him what he did to them. You see what I'm saying? It's both ways. Now, the person that stole the stuff, yeah, he was wrong for putting his hand on that man's stuff. But in the same sense, y'all willing to go to war about something that was did to Buddy that y'all do to other people. Nah, I'm not getting in that. That's on y'all. That's your problem, not mine. You know what I mean? And they was like, man, D, man, you tripping, man. God, leave. They leave out the room, crash out, shorty, come back. Cause QT not with it. QT mad at me. Now he's going down there telling the other dudes from Atlanta that he feeling some kind of way. Well, the other dudes from Atlanta saying the same exact thing that I'm saying, I'm assuming, because they ain't nothing happened. I don't know. Didn't go ask him. Crash Out Charlotte came and sat back down. Crash Out Charlotte said, man, it took me a minute to understand what you saying. My boy Ice was sitting right there beside me. Of course, I had ran down to him what I had said, because him and QT, Crash Out Shot, all us cool. Because Ice was like, you know what I mean? I feel where you coming from, cause shit. Like you said, Shot always be putting their hands on people's stuff, and you ain't no have to be in the middle of that. And that ain't right. And so he can't be mad when somebody do it back to somebody that he cool with or do it to him. I said, exactly. You know what I mean? I said, shoot, you can't get out there. You shoot a dude on this side of the town. You can't be mad when they come back and spin back and shoot you. You know what I mean? It's all part of the game, right? It's too wrong, don't make it right, right? You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. When Crash Out Shawty came back to sit down, we was explaining it to him again. He was like, man, I understand exactly what you're saying. He said, man, that's why I was telling Shawty, like, man, you need to start keeping the hand to himself. Could put a hand on that man, because we don't have to go get into it a few times and him behind his goddamn foolishness. And in the streets, man, and in life, man, we tend to look at all the wrong that is done to us and not looking at the wrong that we might do to others. You can't have the expectation that right gonna come back to you if you out there doing wrong. If you are a robber and you are robbing people and taking from people, you cannot get mad at somebody to catch you down bad and do it back to you and feel like you've been wrong. Or even if you was out there doing crime, commit the crime and said the police is the problem, when you all alone, they just doing a job and they wouldn't have a job to do if you weren't doing what you was doing. I'm not talking about those who get profiled. I'm talking about those who are actually out there in the streets doing criminal activity. Even at that point in the time when you felt like you wasn't doing anything wrong, but you're known for this, man. And once it's your MO, it's your stigma, this is what always gonna be walking with you, man. Change the narrative, change how you move, change who you are, change what you are. You can't get upset about God knowing if you create chaos and get mad when chaos come to you. That's just life, bro. That's how it works, man. Whatever God knows, that's what they call it karma. But if you set the stage for bullshit, then guess what? You're going to be standing in a whole bunch of bullshit. Because it's not karma. That's you setting the stage for it. The things that come out your mouth, the actions that you got don't take, the things that you do, the people that you bring around you, the circumstances that you allow yourself to be put into. All those things, God done, is what gonna come back to you. If you are a thief or a drug dealer or a gangster, a shooter, or whatever. Oh, that's karma. He got shot. He got karma. No, bro. That's not karma. That's the stage that you don't set. You put this act together. You got this whole stage to set up. This is how this story gonna go. Because you ain't the only robber. You ain't the only shooter. You ain't the only person out here in these streets doing what in the streets that, you know what I mean, doing what you doing. And you are out there and you outside and you causing all these problems for yourself. Even at your job, if you working, you know what I'm saying? If you're one of those people who always in everybody's business, you're messy. Uh, guess what? People gonna talk about you as well because you always in the middle of something. That's not common. When stuff come back your way, you create that chaos, bro. And that's all I was saying was in that situation, that's basically what they was doing, creating chaos that ended up coming back to bite them. And hopefully that they will open their eyes and make them realize, like, bro, you can't get mad at them for doing something to you when you've been doing it all along. It's going to come back. And sometimes it don't come directly to you. It comes to somebody that you might care about or you might have love for. Because of your chaos, it comes back to you. Man, so be mindful of that, bro. You know what I mean? Stay out of trouble, man. Because I promise you, man, I would have never been in none of these situations, these stories that I done told you, man, I did one thing. Stay my black ass out of jail. Stay free, youngin'. The homie Big D, man. Till the next time. One love.